The Schumann Resonance. That's what it is. By golly, I think I remembered it. I couldn't think of it. I was thinking of like Fibonacci numbers. I don't know why. Fibonacci sequences. I kept thinking, oh no, it's somebody Italian that came up with it. Since I don't have a degree in physics, what is the Schumann Resonance?
Is he German, I think?
Yeah,
Schumann,
obviously, Schumann.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, that's a relatively old technique in modern physics for measuring the amount of light an object is either absorbing or emitting.
Okay.
I.e. the object you're talking about.
We were talking about Earth, right?
Yeah. And that amount, the amount of light being absorbed by the planet exceeds anything since the discovery of the Schumann resonance modality.
When
of measuring
was that?
It's never been this high.
When was that? You said it was like kind of
it's
like...
within the last century. I don't remember.
I thought it was before that. I thought it was like the 19th century.
I believe it's early 1900s. I don't know, though.
So
I'm definitely not
20th
going
century. No. We should never go on the
my
record.
Bachelor of Science in Theoretical Physics could be revoked.
After all these years?
If I quote that wrong, I haven't thought about it in 20 years.
The physics popo comes for you? They knock on your door? What do they look like? I bet they wear like some funny glasses and stuff with tape on it. Just saying. I'm sorry, physicists out there. I'm sure there are people that don't have tape on their glasses. So what does the Schumann resonance actually mean to this planet? Like when people say the light codes that are hitting us, I mean, like what? Like, is that like what? Like the timing on your LED lights? Like, what does that mean?
That's a great question, right? What does it mean? What doesn't it mean? It might be more appropriate question because I don't know that we fully know what it means. We are in the middle of absorbing that light. So not only is it a quantity of light that has not been absorbed, but also it could be types of light that we have never absorbed. Information, data, uploads. So again, we're in the transformative time between Pisces and Aquarius, and maybe we're absorbing all this information, this light, this illumination that we won't really know. We won't remember fully till we come out of amnesia on the other side of this shift.
Interesting. Yeah, the shift, because supposedly we're supposed to forget everything that we know to play this game. I don't know. So the only thing that I've really heard through the grapevine, and so this is like, yeah, my friend said, so Tamra is feathered and blanketed by the Ho-Chunk Nation. So she has a little bit of information from indigenous people that usually white people don't get. And one of the things that they shared with her is that there's something called the white buffalo, like calf woman prophecy. In fact, people can't see it because we're just doing this audio podcast right now, but I actually have a white alabaster buffalo that I got up in Sedona, and actually down in Sedona. It would have been up in Scottsdale. Nonetheless, that prophecy talks about a time that all the people would unite, right? And so in 1994, it's like for indigenous people, and I am not the person to talk about this, so I'm going to like just briefly like just dot like on this, and then I'm going to like jump out of it and let Tamra talk about it. But how Christians have the coming or the second coming of Christ, right? For indigenous people, when the white buffalo calf would be born, it would show that there was going to be a unification of all of the people that were brown, that were black, that were red, that were white, that were yellow. And so supposedly there was one born in Wisconsin in 1994. The Dalai Lama went, indigenous folks from the Sioux Nation went, the Ho-Chunk, I'm sure other tribes went, the Winnebago probably, just guessing. And they saw this white buffalo, and supposedly there's white buffaloes that are born now, which are signifying this age, this new period, ending of one and coming into a period of unification, which I know sounds very bizarre considering what we're seeing right now. But I think that sometimes the phrase, it's always darkest, like right before the dawn. So I think that you have like this light that's starting to hit the planet, and it's showing us a lot of this darkness, which doesn't mean that it's not getting lighter. It just means that we have greater awareness of what this darkness is, because if we don't understand what it is and how it came to be, we can't stop it or change it, transform it, whatever it is that we choose to do with it. I personally like the Superman. I have to get this in the podcast. So I'm going to state this. I have a horrible prejudice. Yeah, I have a prejudice, right, Scott? Your eyes got big on that one. Shocking. So my prejudice is not only do I not like Norwegian food. Sorry to any of our Norwegian listeners out there, lived in Norway, got way too thin. You can't live on smoked salmon. But the thing that I really have a prejudice about is Batman versus Superman. I personally think that Batman is a superhero, right? Human who like had some tragic things happen, transformed it, talk about using his intuition. I mean, he had a great butler, built out the Batcave. He is a superhero. Okay, my father grew up in a generation where he liked Superman. I don't know, some black and white show. He tried to show it to me. He used to inundate me with Superman propaganda, and I wasn't down with it. I'm a Batman person. So, of course, whatever the year is, 1980 something, I get dragged to a Superman movie. This is the only thing I ever learned from Superman. And this intuitively to me feels right about what we should do with people that might have nefarious plans for others and have done horrific things. There is this galactic, like, council thing, like a Star Wars kind of thing. And so people are sitting theater style, all different kinds of people. And there's 3 criminals there, and they're being tried for blowing up Superman's planet. Do you even know the name of Superman's planet? What is
Krypton.
this? No, Kryptonite is.
Yeah.
Krypton?
Krypton is the planet.
Oh, God. And so Kryptonite's the bad stuff for him? Don't you think that should be the good? See, I don't get the whole Superman thing. Okay, so they blew up Krypton. Thank you for that. I remember being horrified because there was a woman. There were 2 men and a woman. And it was the first time as a child that I had seen a woman in the role of a villain. And I was like, holy shizzle. So all these people, they have the translators on, and they're coming up with their fate. I mean, you blew up a planet. That sounds pretty serious to me. So having grown up in a very violent place called New York City, I did not like violence, right? Like I was not down with violence. I'm still not down with violence. And they handed down a sentence that was the most rad thing ever, and I suggest this weekly in my office now to people. So the 3 villains, they say guilty, and what they do is they flat Stanley them. Yep, flat. You're like flattened out. I mean, like Flat Stanley. My dad had to drag like Flat Stanley all over Europe for my niece once. And so like Flat Stanley, you go into a mirror, like a flat tile mirror. You're flat, and you have to look at yourself for all of eternity, and you just float out there endlessly. Intuitively, I like that one. I don't think they can get out of the mirror. That's the only good Superman thing that I've ever learned. And so, like, the amount of light that's hitting the planet right now is showing us the people that need to be flat Stanley'd into a mirror. However, that's a simple solution that you just, okay, one day we'll flat Stanley them into a mirror, or God will handle them. That's usually what I end up saying. Then you have to go to the right, which is the right side of it, which is what am I creating in spite of, and actually maybe because of the people that would like to flat Stanley me, I'm just not going to focus on that because there's so much light and so much brightness and so much good that's coming. I truly do believe that our best days are ahead because more people now are waking up to their intuition, and more people come in every single week and ask me incredible questions about who it is that they're becoming because they know it's something greater than they've ever been before now.
Yes, and the beautiful thing about owning your own mystic is that you and your higher self decide if you are flat Stanley or not. You can look in the mirror and you then become you're the Galactic Council, and you're the one before the Galactic Council. Wow. There's no need for anything else now. And we decide whether we go flat Stanley or not.
Wow. What are the parts of you that you need to flat Stanley is what I get in as a neuro-linguistic practitioner.
You mentioned questions earlier. What you can ask a question, where do you come from? Maybe that's one that you can add to the list.
That's interesting. Yeah, intuitively. So what that might be the question, because I'm really into flat Stanleying. I'm going to make that a verb, flat Stanleying people. So I probably need to ask what within. Well, we know that the first thing I need to flat Stanley within myself is the need to go around flat Stanleying people. Duh. That's like a numero uno on the list. Yeah, see, that's the judger. That's the big judger. And we'll talk about like personality types one day.
I mean, for most of us, I would imagine one of the most serious forms of kryptonite for any of us is being the judger.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's definitely.
It's going to disconnect you from your mystic more quickly than anything. If you want to know what kryptonite is to mysticism.
Totally. And the only thing that I ever judge other people about, and this is also an intuitive sticky wicket, is, okay, so during the pandemic, or sometimes I do call it the plandemic. During the pandemic, I realized that I was a hater because I hated the haters. What? Oh my gosh.
Irony.
That's terrible. And so that's where my judger comes out, is my sense of justice. Like, I want fairness. I want freedom. And so like intuitively, justice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, guess what? No, flat Stanley yourself. That's going to be my mantra this week. What can I flat Stanley within myself? Yeah. There's going to be a list the next time that we come together. I'm going to get it.
Yeah, the difference between justice and judgment.
All right. Are you going to have your flat Stanley list for next time?
Oh boy, that's the thing about those mirrors. When you look in them, there's an infinite. It's infinite. The amount of things I could consider flat Stanleying myself about.
What about if we just limit ourselves to 5?
It's an infinite hologram.
What if we just come up with 5 for next time? Think we can do 5? Maybe we should just do 3. So that way,
as long as it's next time. Next time. And then we have to do something antithetical to the flat Stanley because we have to balance it out. Oh gosh. So this is an NLP thing, so it's coming up again. So in training, of course, there's such a Superman bias in this country. Yeah. I wonder.
People don't talk about that bias. They want to polarize us. Why don't we have like Team Superman or Team Batman instead of red and blue team?
Yeah.
But anyway, in NLP they have the Superman thing. And I never liked the exercise because it involves Superman. It's like you have to come up with like, you're like uber person, like you're super person, you know?
I'm realizing Stanley could possibly outwit the incarceration if Stanley could befriend or like connect with someone that would be kind enough to put another mirror in front of them, then their flatness could turn into infinity.
Oh my God! You see,
infinite amount of Stanleys.
My brain
all the
hurts
timelines.
from that.
Maybe that's forgiveness.
This is going to have to get cut. Oh my God! All right. On that note, trust your gut, y'all. We're out.